Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to MI6, the Merchandise Vaults. I'm your host, The Collector. This week, a bit of a clue in the t-shirt if I step a little closer, celebrating 50 years of 007. This is because this week's video is about the year, well, it starts in the year 2012, and this is about the locations that I have visited or events that I've attended, and the photo evidence to support it, if you like. I did one very similar, a couple of months ago, roughly, about the people I've been lucky enough to have met, in this hobby. Cast members that, back in the day when you probably saw them on the screen, you never thought you'd have the opportunity to stand face to face with them and have a conversation, obviously a photograph and an autograph, and swap niceties, if you like, and a little bit of brief chit chat before you're politely ushered on for the next person to meet them, which is fair enough. But like I say, this video covers sort of three things. So here we go again. Without further ado, let's take a step back into 2012. And before we do, I'd just like to apologise for the state of me. And I don't mean that because I look drunk. So I just think that some of the photos I could have looked a lot more photogenic, let's say. Oh, excuse me. So let's take a look. So, as before, look at that, a bit of shameless plug-in for the channel, and underneath, a photo album. Surprise, surprise. So, Bewley 2012 was the first time we had 50 years of Bond in terms of vehicles used, and like I said, look at the state of me. I look drunk in that bottom one. But you've got Zhao's Jaguar XKR, and if that, I am not mistaken, is the Ford Mondeo from Casino Royale. Like I say, I'm going to flip through these pretty quick. That is obviously the snow sled from Die Another Day. Goldfinger's classic Rolls Royce driven by Oddjob. The Skidoos and the Parahawk. So obviously the Parahawk being The World Is Not Enough, and the Skidoo being, once again, Die Another Day. Timothy Dalton's Living Daylights Aston Martin, which obviously makes a comeback in No Time to Die. Vanquish. That looks like that because it was behind like a frosted screen. But that's why you got that little bit of glare and reflection in the photograph. Now this is from Thunderball, an additional one of the Vanquish. Now that, as you can see, if I spin this, Burial at Sea. The actual, well, it's not a bed, is it? It's kind of like an aqua stretcher, for the want of a better description, that Sean Connery lay on. Because it weren't all necessarily about vehicles when they launched this at Bewley. That is the pig from the Living Daylights that Koskov is put into and sent across the border. As you can see, Roger Moore's alligator sub had to be done. It had to be childish. The From Russia with Love boat. I'm assuming many of these would have come from the Ian Fleming Foundation, as well as Eon's own personal kind of archive of vehicles. The Moonraker Glastron boat, which I absolutely loved this model. And, you think about how old some of these things are. It's astonishing. It really, really is. Need I say more about that one? Apologies for the glare on this one. It was just trying to get a photo of the interior. But you can never tire of looking at that car. if I was ridiculously rich, I would have one. So this, to be honest, I mean, obviously you can see that's the hovercraft from the pre-title sequence of Die Another Day. But what you see here, this was the seed for what I have turned this all into. And I don't know whether many of you would have got to see the original Bewley exhibition, but you get an idea of the size of the glass displays as I flip over some more photographs. I mean, some of these props, models, miniatures, whatever you wish to describe them as. I mean, look at this. You can see already, you know, I don't claim to be a beefcake, but I'm of average size, and the whole thing, the whole thing just dwarfs me. I mean, that's a terrific model of the Tiger helicopter from GoldenEye. That would be a model I would like them to bring out at some point soon. So once again, the snow sled. That was kind of like the walkway through up into the upstairs part of the exhibition, because it was sort of spread out, but you had the music go in to give the atmosphere and so on. And then we have The World Is Not Enough Q-Boat, the iconic Lotus Esprit, the water bike, as it was affectionately called, the very first ever jet ski that was certainly ever seen on screen anyway, as ridden by Roger Moore. Now this, the Batha sub, Ernst Stavro Blofeld's Batha sub, I'm so excited because there is a model of this coming out that was sort of teased at a recent event in America. I can't remember the name of the event now, forgive me for that, but it looks terrific, and it will be certainly added to my own collection as and when it becomes available. Another great image of the Q-Boat. The brilliant Citroen 2CV, and I think this was just used for interior shots, because where the black is there, a bit like my nail, that's another story, there was nothing. So I'm assuming this was used for interior shots of Melina, Havelock and Bond against like a back screen. The BMW 750iL, brilliant chase with Pierce Brosnan in the back. Little Nelly, and then probably one of the best Roger Moore pre-title sequences, if not the best, was from Octopussy, and this bad boy here, this Acrostar jet. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Olga Kurylenko's car as Camille. This is the iconic Aston Martin DBS that was used in the stunt. World record holding at the time for the amount of flips, which I believe when this happened it was 7. I mean, look at the impact, and obviously there is an actual guy in there doing that stunt. And roll cages and whatnot aside, it's still excuse me, it is still a dangerous stunt to have performed. A couple more of an intact DBS. And then we have Aston Jinx's Ford Thunderbird, Pierce Brosnan's Z8 from The World Is Not Enough, and also with the obligatory missiles popping out the side that took out one of Electra King's helicopters. Now this one is from the pre-titles of Quantum of Solace, where basically Bond is being pursued by, as it stood then anyway, Quantum. And then, wow, that's my little Sheriff J.W. Pepper tribute, because like I said, I am a big kid, and obviously it being the first movie to have that little bit of live and let die history I had to have that picture. So this, as you can see, is the bike that Daniel Craig used when they were in Haiti, and you kind of get to see the villains of the piece for the first time. The 750 IL, sorry, no, what am I on about? That's the car. The BMW R1200C motorbike. I mean, there's some weight in that vehicle. There truly, truly is. And as I said before, although it was about vehicles, you do have the odd novelty like the jetpack. The diamonds are forever. Car chase with that infamous stunt where it goes in one way and out the other. And then they did that cheeky little edit, let's say. And then we got the gorgeous AMC look from the man with the golden gun. Tracy's car from On Her Majesty's. Some more Thunderball underwater devices. I mean, little mock-up of the MI6 building. And then we've got these Diamonds Are Forever kind of moon bikes, is probably moon trikes, bikes, whatever you may wish to call them. It's just astonishing that, you know, considering how old some of these vehicles are, they're just pristine. Valentin Sokovsky's roller, once again from The Wood Is Not Enough. And then here, have I just missed the page? No, sorry, I haven't. Cubby Broccoli's personal car, which, as you can see, as we all know, was used in A View to a Kill. Absolutely stunning. Just timeless pieces of mechanical magic. And to tie into that same film, obviously, the classic Paris chase. The AMC Hornet. Now, I've got to be honest, I have no idea why I'm doing that. I must have done it for a reason, probably a childish one. And then to tap to the end of this, it's me just under the Union Jack parachute, thinking, I think this is what heaven looks like. And then, now that brings us to the end of the Bond in Motion at Beaulieu. So I hope you enjoyed those photos. The next one is short. Well, the next set of photos is short, I should say. But it does start off with a childish one. It'll be self-explanatory, so let's take a look. Now, as you can see here, this lady here is my wonderful wife. She has many, many, many qualities, of which one of them is her cheeky sense of humour, a bit like mine, which is why I married her. And this is why she's being rather childish, because she's definitely a Daniel Craig fan, and I think she was just trying to grab my attention for want of a better description. God bless her. I love you, babe. So, this was designing 007 50 Years of Bond Lifestyle, which took place at the Barbican. And what I hadn't realised at the time was obviously the Barbican was used certainly as an exterior few shots for Quantum of Solace, where I think the phone call goes where Tanner and M are walking on the outside of the Barbican, and he's just told M that Bond has got rid of Slate, that he was a dead end. I could be wrong on that, but I'm sure that's how it goes. And if I'd have realised that, I'd have took more exterior photographs. But I have realised I am photographs missing, so I've got to try and find those. Because the next one, look, and as you can see, my goodness me, I'm looking a bit rough there. A bit of a rough, pale Pierce Brosnan hair going on, I think. But I had to do that pose. It'd have been rude not to. And I'm sure this is the same visit where I'm further along the Thames at that iconic Die Another Day stone and wooden door right on the river. It goes into the abandoned tube station, but I can't seem to find that anywhere, so I'm going to have to relive that moment, I think, and do the old George Lazenby leaning on the lamppost. But yeah, the paleness continues. I mean, that Sean Connery wax model looks much healthier than I do. Goodness me. But when you go into the main event, you weren't allowed to take any photographs. Now, I don't know whether that was because it was a case of to do with the flash photography, whether it caused damage or not to the items on display. But I mean, if they was to do it again with modern day, see, you got some of the models they were hanging on the ceiling, which is pretty cool. And then as you can see, you had a 007 martini bar and also a 007 shop, which was where the said t-shirt I've got on today was purchased. Brilliant model of Zorin Industries, the blimp. Some further models, as you can see, you've got Scaramanga's car that converts into the plane and so on. So many things. But yeah, so you missed out on a lot of props. And, well, I say props, clothing outfits. Like I say, some brilliant models. And then there's this final one from Designing Bond, which was the gimbal, a model of the gimbal stage at the House of Casino Royale, how it was like kind of constructed on a model scale and then just upscaling it to the actual thing. Remarkable piece of engineering, absolutely remarkable. And then that is that. So the final few pictures, this was last Christmas. Well, actually, no, tell a lie, it was it New Year's Eve? Or the day before New Year's Eve. It was my daughter's birthday, she was born. My wife's is the 24th of December, the daughter's is the 28th of December, so it's always a full-on time of year, but in a good way. We took our daughter down to London to celebrate her 18th, and, you know, it'd have been rude not to head to this particular location. Let's take a look. So, as you can see, being in London, best way to get around London, the underground, not necessarily the slide down the middle of the escalators. But as you can see, I'm very childish. I think I may have said this already. So we were at the Temple station. So as you can see, a very weathered Logan looking collector there. We obviously did the Buckingham Palace thing, where obviously we first come across Gustav Graves. And then we have City Hall in London, which was C's building. Obviously they didn't use that exact look, but the design was there. But we also went to the Burlington Arcade. Now, unfortunately, because we were right at the tail end of it, some of the stuff had already been removed, like the gold Aston Martins hanging above like the entrances just on the interior, which was a bit unfortunate, but didn't detract from the entire thing. So there's my beautiful wife and daughter having a look, and then just had to be done, didn't it? Now, you'll have to forgive the old little bit of pink, because I was carrying the backpack full of snacks and drinks. Doesn't exactly scream Bond, that little bit of pink showing, but as you can see, I have my little stash of goodies. Absolutely brilliant. Upstairs here, that's where the gift shop was, and in the downstairs below, like a cellar kind of setup, if you like, they had this fantastic pinball machine, which I'll show you very, very shortly. But it's not as big as you would think. I was thinking it'd have been at least twice the size of what it actually was. So these were some of the things that were in the shop window. I mean, look at that gold-plated Aston. That's astonishing. Then some Thunderball type memorabilia. Some obviously some rum. That they will one day be in my possession. When, I don't know, but at some point they will be in my possession. And yes, there will be a video about it. And then some great just general advertising, self-explanatory as you can see. Love the Day of the Dead stuff. And these are like Agora models, absolutely huge. I wouldn't know what the scale is, but these, once again, self-explanatory. Everything is Goldfinger, obviously the hat, Pussy Galore's waistcoat, the clock on Goldfinger's private jet, where we have the crew attendant peeping through the clock at what Bond is doing. Now this is clearly the pinball machine. I mean, look at the detail. And I've got to be honest, if I was in a position to lay my hands on one of these, trust me, I truly would grab it. It'd be fantastic to have this sat next to the slot machine that I have. But I mean, they are serious money. And as you can see on the right hand side there's the Bollinger Bar. That's the end of that, but there was something else. So the final set of photos concerns this man's final film, No Time to Die. I'll get there eventually. And with everything to do with COVID and, you know, the delays in the film, considering when it was initially coming out, we probably could have got another film out of it, to be honest, assuming he didn't kill himself in this one, or that one as it would have been. But yeah, back to the vehicles specifically. They ended up returning back to Bewley and did a No Time to Die special. I think that was for a run of 12 months also. I can't remember for sure, but we went in the summertime, just because the time before that it was like the spring, so it was a bit chillier. So this time around was much accommodating weather-wise, let's say. So let's take a look. So there we are, the Dynamic Duo. And if you notice, just over my shoulder here, you actually have Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which was pretty cool to see. And like the vehicles, absolutely pristine. And so you sort of stepped down into it this time. The original exhibition was up here, where you went through the archway, which was a little bit further set to the left. But as you can see, it's quite a drop. Some cool banners. We know that I love a banner. The Aston Martin. And as you can see, we have the Triumph Scrambler next to, which we'll get more of a look at shortly. But look at this. I mean, considering some of the things are just, I don't know, transfers, or for want of a better description. But as you can see, Bewley itself, the museum, I recommend it anyway, because it's set in the grounds of this beautiful estate. It's a beautiful old house. The Brabazon Cafe does some great food, hot and cold. But as you can see, the Scrambler, banner, Naomi's bike from Jamaica. And I only spotted that by accident, because sometimes you have to look, because sometimes they're tucked in here, there and everywhere. That's just an overhead shot of the three cars. always set out absolutely brilliantly, and it's not necessarily just about the vehicles. You do have props as well, and sometimes, you know, you see these vehicles, you think, well, will I ever see them again? Particularly the more kind of, you know, novelty is the wrong word, but the Astons, they tend to reappear. But would you ever see this Toyota again? Possibly not. So that's why I've always sort of done a photo with and without. In my own head, it makes sense. My wife photo bombing there, the nerve of her, bless her. And then these were just, I don't know whether they were gifted to the estate, but obviously it's a Bond car, isn't it? And I thought, well, this Jaguar of Zal's is probably the most gadget-laden car for a villain throughout the entire franchise, and I just thought it was worth taking those extra pictures. Now, as you can see, above these vehicles, there's another one, but it's not the car, it is the glider, and you get an indication of how big that thing is. It's absolutely huge, to the point where obviously the wings were not opened up. I couldn't even tell you what the wingspan would have been, but it would have been significant. So when you go upstairs to where the original exhibition was, you can get a bit of a better idea of the scale of the thing. Absolutely amazing. And as you can see, it gives you an idea of how big the car museum is, because it's got everything in there: cars, vans, bikes, you name it, it's in there. And then you have Primo's outfit, and then we get some really cool stuff. As you can see, Primo's bionic eye, and as we discover, he wasn't the only one with one. The Omega Seamaster watch, the little mines from the DB5 and the PTS, Q's tracking system device, some of Ana de Armas's costume jewellery, Daniel Craig's glasses, an embarrassing one of me of taking one of Commander Bond outfits. It looks like I'm trying to get into it myself, but it's kind of gone desperately wrong. But, you know, it just goes to show I'm there. And then we have some, like before, there was cabinets, not as many, and certainly not the scale as before. Some of the merchandise you could pick up. So, some pretty cool things. Some very expensive things too. And, you know, it's kind of like pictures of like some of the stuff used in the film, from the concept to the actual item itself. But there's some great things. I mean, this is like a prime example. You can get kits of whether it's Lego or Airfix or whatever, and this, as a merchandise person, is what I would dearly love to see more of moving forward, to attract new and younger fans, and the older fans, of course. So, but yeah, as you can see, I was like a tourist abroad. It was a click, 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 click. I don't know whether my wife would have appreciated that one, but it looks like she's holding the clapperboard. And then I think to round it off, this was when I thought, I'm just going to get a picture of the banners. I mean, I'd love to have known what happens to this stuff. Because I hate the thought of it just being destroyed, because they are destroyed. Having worked in the cinema business many moons ago, all the point of sale stuff, whether it's posters, standees, they were just thrown away, recycled, whatever you want to call it. It was just, to me, it was being thrown away, and I just thought it was such a crime. So guys, that's it for the photo side of things. As I've said, next year, a bit like the follow on to a week or so ago when I was on about doing interviews, next year I'd also like to do some, what's the word, field work, if you like, being out there on location, wherever it may be, doing a few videos too. I've seen other people do it. I really enjoy it. I love seeing the places that the stars of the screen of the films we love trod the boards, if you like. So next year, maybe my week off around my birthday, I always have a week off, I'm going to look to try and do Stoner Park, which is where they did the Living Daylights for Bladen House, where Bond brings Koskov to the MI6 safe house, and literally after the meeting, that facility is penetrated by Necros, who literally kills a milkman outside of the estate, of which, where you go into the estate, if you were to just go past there, on your right hand side, depending on which way you're approaching it from, that farm is still there, that lane where he pulls the milkman over the wall and strangles him and takes his place. So that's one of the locations I'm going to plan to go to next year and do some filming. The other one is the Nene Valley Railway, which was used for not only Octopussy, but also GoldenEye. So Octopussy is the train station sequence. You obviously got, I know there's still some rolling stock there, one that's been not repurposed, but reconditioned back to how it originally was. And also, what is it? The GoldenEye part where the train goes into the tank that's just coming out of the tunnel. Another one I want to do next year, probably not that same week, is the Amberley Museum. And at Amberley, it's where we have the A View to a Kill finale in terms of the mine, the main strike mine, and they've got some of the mine carts still there, plus the engine that pushed those carts. So they're three places I'm looking to go to. I'm probably going to look to go back to London as well, but then that kind of brings me on to kind of bucket list destinations, and there's quite a few, probably like most people watching this video. So the top number one mecca for me, and I'm hoping to achieve this, if I do I will obviously let you know, but that would be GoldenEye. To sit in that chair at that little corner desk where that golden typewriter once was, and where Ian Fleming sat and wrote these amazing books and adventures. That to me would be me coming full circle and feeling like I've achieved probably the biggest thing that you can do with this hobby, is to actually sit where it all started and just soak up the atmosphere. I don't think you could beat that. Then I can just sort of rattle these off straight away, to be honest. It would be Piz Gloria, to go to that restaurant, have a meal, do the photos, do the little tour and the exhibition. Salden, actually, although, you know, I don't know how far it is geographically between the two. Could you tie them in? Possibly, I don't know. Looking further afield, I'd love to go to the GoldenEye Dam and jump off it, obviously with a cable attached to me preferably. That was the cat, if you're wondering what that was. I'd like to go to Thailand. I want to go to James Bond Island. Just another iconic set. Well, it's not even a set, it's an iconic location. But also to Japan, to the fishing village, or what was deemed the fishing village in the story anyway. Because I do believe there's like a somewhere approaching that bay at the side, there is like a plaque of some description saying, you know, a setting for You Only Live Twice, and I think it's got Sean Connery's autograph on or something along them lines anyway. But Japan is somewhere I've always wanted to go to anyway. A number of other places would be, let me think, Las Vegas. Got to do the Strip. Venice. I've always wanted to go to Venice anyway, but seeing as at least 2 or 3 Bond films now have had situations there in Venice, definitely need to go to Venice. It's a beautiful place, and yeah, I could get lost in the moment in Venice for sure. And then one place that came up completely unexpectedly because I'd never heard of, and I've been to here before in the past, Orlando. And the reason I say Orlando is I've seen a couple of videos now about Deserland theme park. I think it's called the Orlando Automobile Museum now. I could be wrong on that. If I am, please do let me know, and I do apologise. But the museum, my goodness me, from what I've seen, it is out there. You've got this amazing tribute from this, I think, multi-billionaire, because this Bond Museum is just one small part of it. But my goodness, it looks incredible. I'd end up probably just going to that one bit of the theme park, and the rest of the family will probably go and do something else. But it's got vehicles and props from all, definitely 24, but I'm sure it's all 25 films now. But they've got a Bond museum, for want of a better description. Now, I touched on this last week, as you may well know. And you go into this place. Well, the approach of it's actually a bar, and like a cafeteria area. Then you've got all the props, vehicles, and so on. But also, sort of, kind of at the beginning towards the middle, there's this huge area full of display cabinets, full of all sorts of things. And as I understand it, some of it was just donated. So it just looks amazing. Some of these places are going to be far more easier to go to than others, but certainly well worth it. I can't imagine not trying to do all these places. And if you can hear some funny noises, this cat is unbelievable. He's now settled now. I'm going to turn the camera just in case you think I might be making this up. Trust me, I'm not. There's the little tyke. Bless him. But, so yeah. Probably the longest video I've ever done. Certainly have enjoyed it, like I always do. Let us know what you think. Let us know where you'd like to go to. And the reasons why. I mean, they could be the same as mine, I don't know. But it's been a blast. Thank you for watching. Leave a like, a subscribe, follow, recommend, subscribe. I'm going to have forgotten one, if not others. But I just want to say thank you for watching today. I look forward to seeing you again next weekend with who knows what. I've got a lot of things going on recording wise. So we shall see. There's going to be come towards the end of next month and Christmas and New Year. I've got some things planned to show or talk to you about. Yeah, looking forward to it. So take care, guys and ladies. Or shall I say my usual phrase of ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Let's see if this thing will stop when I want it to. Take care, everyone. Love you lots. Bye-bye.